Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and do celebrity legal news. Also, join me for my pop culture chats. If you'd like to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. My Venmo and Cash App is below. Thank you so much, and let's get started.
Hello, 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 hello. Listen, good morning to you all, and good morning to all of you all that will be watching me and watching me soon. As you come in, y'all, please make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe. Any and all platforms that I am simulcasting on, which is X, YouTube, and Twitch. If you are on X and or Twitch, please make sure you come over to YouTube and give me a like and also possibly subscribe. Subscribe. Listen, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I want to make a quick shout out. Let me do that. I want to shout out CJ. She's a citizens journalist. She is CJ on YouTube. She follows celebrity legal news as well. She follows the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively case. That's where I got connected with her. We have done a video, a live stream on Tyler Perry and his stuff. She also does live streams in the morning and she does live streams in the evening talking about different cases. She is also talking about the Drake and the UMG case. So go follow her page, give her a follow, tell her I sent you. Go follow her and make sure you follow her just if you want to know the ins and outs of the cases and stuff like that. She's real sweet and she knows her stuff. So give her a follow. All right. So basically, let me tell you what's going to happen. Because after watching her stuff, I realized I did not realize how much stuff that I've missed because I haven't covered Drake since probably June. I had some other things that I was covering and following through, particularly like the Diddy case. So I haven't been following Drake too much, just cursory. So I thought that we would take a dive in on what's going on as of now, simply because this thing will never end. This thing will never ever end. Never end. And it is starting to get a little, well, I'll tell you how I feel about how it's going to start, but I will tell you all this. I'll give you my anecdotal information about how I feel with this stuff. And so, as I'm going to give you that little anecdotal information, give me one moment. Let me pull up my screens. Because no, let me just pull this up real quick so you all can look at it and see it as I pull up the other stuff. If you haven't already, please go back and watch my video that I did earlier today in regards to celebrity legal information, regards in Drake, Taylor Swift, Shannon Sharp, all of those people that are going on. Because I do want y'all to be able to see all of that information and stuff. I'm hoping to get a little bit get better on a couple of things. I'm just pulling stuff up. And I do apologize. I should have had all this up before, but y'all know me. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in my videos represent my own thoughts, concerns, and analysis. I do not know these entities or persons personally, and my opinions are not a statement of fact. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. And I'm going to be using some documents. So, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might be otherwise infringing. There we go. Hold on. Let me edit this. All right. So we're going to continue. We are going to continue. We are going to continue. So, if you're unfamiliar, if you're unaware, Drake is suing UMG. And why is Drake suing UMG? He is suing UMG because he's for defamation, because he's saying that UMG knew that he was not a PDF file and that they promoted this song knowing that he was not a PDF file. Now, this information is all what I'm about to say is it probably is more opinion than fact. But basically, here's what's happening. Over the course of probably the last 8 years, Drake has been in approximately three beefs. The first one that I understood that he was in was with Meek Mill. The second one that I understood that he was in was with Pusha T. And the third one that he was in was with Kendrick Lamar. Now, he has been uber hype about the beef that he did with Meek Mill because of the fact that he won that beef. And so I don't know if his team or if his ego was wanting him to get into the other beefs, but he did. Now, subsequently, when he went into the beef with Pusha T, it was revealed that he was hiding a child. Also, subsequently, during that beef, we find out that Drake was supposedly going to present his child to the world via he had a shoe deal with Adidas, and so he was going to present his child through the shoe deal for Adidas. But it ended up that him and that rap beef that he had with Pusha T ended up revealing that Drake had a child. So Drake was taken aback, and apparently the baby gangsters over in Houston convinced Drake to squash the beef and because I think the beef was initially against Kanye. It wasn't like a beef on wax, but it was a beef in person with Kanye, and so the baby gangsters over in Houston talked with Drake and Kanye, and then they all did a concert to try to free. I think it was C Murder. I don't remember remember all of that, but they apparently squashed the beef. Pusha T was like, "You can't be if you beefing with me, you beefing with me. Nobody can over there tell you to squash a beef with me." A whole lot of. So that died down. Everything was fine. Now let's talk about Kendrick and Drake. The thing about Kendrick and Drake is this: Kendrick and Drake pretty much came out around the same time, but there was such a big push behind Drake. Again, the music execs thought, that Drake, because he came out on Cash Money, so they were pushing Drake because, Drake is a sensitive rapper. Drake had appeal for women. Drake had appeal for men. Drake, they believe that, and if you hear my friend, don't you? Drake's appeal to the mainstream was there. Meaning that he was able to appeal not only to Black audiences, they believe that he also was able to appeal to white audience. And let me just go over really quickly about that. White audiences, men, but mostly women, because it seems like at that point Drake was trending more with the women, and particularly college aged women. So when he came out, most of his fan base, a large swath of his fan base, were women, regardless of what racial makeup they made. And also he had a lot of white men. He has a black male fan base, but I don't know. It's pretty steady because usually when black men once they have a person that they believe in, that's their person pretty much for life. If you follow anybody, if they love them some Biggie, they love Biggie, and Biggie is the best thing smoking. If they love some Tupac, Tupac is it. If they love Nas, if they love Jay-Z, now they will vacillate between other people, but usually if they have a if black men have a propensity for a rapper, usually that particular rapper will be their rapper unless something shifts their paradigm. Usually the people that love and follow Jay-Z, they still love and follow Jay-Z and his music and all of that other stuff. If he was to put out another album, his particular fan base will follow him. If people, like I said, people love Tupac, they will use Tupac as their standard, and everybody else, if they come close to meeting that, they will follow those things. So all I'm saying to this here is that Drake has a huge fan base, and he knows who his fan base was, and usually it was women, all races, and pretty much white men. So we get to the beef between him and Pusha T. Because, like I said before, in that beef was the first time I think Drake had suffered a loss. Because remember, you're talking about, what was that? That was 2018, 2019, Drake? Somewhere around there. Because that Meek Mill beef happened about 2017-ish, somewhere in there. Don't quote me on the dates. But at that point, Drake was coming off the fact that he wouldn't do any harm. You have Drake coming off of just big acclaim on certain works like So Far Gone, Thank Me Later, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same. If you're reading this, it's already too late. You had What a Time to Be Alive. I think that's the album that he did with Future. We had Views. So he's coming off of that level of Drake. So he's coming off of that, and then to push into going into this beef. Personally, I think Drake underestimated him because, again, the one thing that his appeal with women is that he's on social media. He is always on social media. He's always like kind of going back and forth, and not in a bad way, but he's engaging his fan base on Twitter, on IG, on whatever it is to think. I don't know if he has a Snapchat or anything like that. I'm not sure, but I will just say overall social media. He's engaging his people in social media. So that's endearing to women. They feel like Drake, the biggest thing I hear a lot of times from women is he gets me. Drake just gets me. So they love them. They love them some Drake. Now, I don't know how the demographics has changed because in all of this beef, I see a lot more male fans, particularly for Drake, and most of them are usually younger black males, and younger black males. And what I mean by younger, probably in between about 18 to 26. A lot of younger black males are pushing Drake, and the same fan base as far as the white man. That same fan base is still pushing Drake. But once he got to that with Pusha T, you noticed that you started to see some cracks in his confidence, or some cracks in the Drake machine, because Drake was known as the stimulus man. Anytime anybody did a feature with Drake, it boosted their streaming and their album sales and all that up. So everybody was really trying to make sure that they got a feature with Drake, or it was very highly sought out to have a feature with Drake. Once we had that tete-a-tete with Pusha T, you started to see a little crack, because you started seeing that well-crafted, well-run engine started to have a little crack. It stuttered a little bit because Drake was not used to losing. He had a formula for winning, and he employed that formula for winning with Pusha T, and it didn't work. All right. So, Pam, what does that have to do with Kendrick Lamar? Why does that have to do with Kendrick Lamar? The thing about Drake and Kendrick Lamar is this: they came out pretty much the same time. Drake was pushed in the industry with the thing because, again, he had what they considered to be global appeal. With that global appeal, Drake promoted Kendrick, ASAP Rocky, and a couple of other rappers because Drake pushed a tour. And ironically, Drake was on Cash Money at that time, and there were other artists that were signed to Cash Money. And I don't remember if he pushed them on that tour or not, but he did push ASAP Rocky. He did push Kendrick Lamar. And there was another person, and that name escapes me right now. And I do apologize to that person, but it just escapes me right now. But there's plenty of videos on YouTube that show him, them at one of the shows, and Drake was, congratulating everybody for coming out and talking about Drake, and talking about Kendrick and ASAP Rocky, how he felt that they were the future and that they were going to be able to, Drake appeared to me that he enjoyed being the leader. He wanted everybody to look up to him, and he enjoyed that. And so basically, in regards as how I'm thinking that Drake is thinking, and again, this is my opinion. I don't know these folk. I'm thinking that Drake enjoys being the person here and everybody else being here, and everyone else making sure that they pay homage to him. So what basically happened is Big Sean had a song called Control. There were other little cracks we won't get into, but this is the major thing that we saw pushed in the industry at this point. We saw little cracks. And the biggest crack is that Kendrick did a verse on Control where he talked about how all of these rappers that he admired at that time, he was wanting to ice them out of the game. That's not the wording that he used, but that's basically what we're going to say he said. He wants to ice them out. He wants to be bigger than them. And he's letting them know that he wants to be bigger than them. Most of the rappers that he mentioned didn't have a problem with it because, again, that's part of hip hop. When you are an MC, as an MC, every MC believes that that MC is the best MC. That MC's skills and rhyming and lyrics and all of that stuff, A1. That's why in hip hop, when people talk about writing lyrics and things like that, that's why that is so important in hip hop and you being an MC. Because of the fact that you say that you are the best, you have to put your money where your mouth is, and everything that all of your lyrics should be your lyrics because you're saying that you are the best. And so that's why in hip hop versus any other genre of music, an MC writing his own rhymes is important. Have there been MCs not writing their rhymes? Exactly. However, these MCs never come up and say that they are the best MCs because they know that they're not writing their raps. All right. You can't put that forward talking about you're the best MC and you are not writing your raps. Do MCs, because I know a lot of y'all, a little obtuse and be wanting to come at me. So let me explain it the best way that I know it. There's always been collaboration. And you can take someone's thought and collaborate and things like that with them. But if you are an MC, 9 times out of 10, if you're claiming to be the best MC, you have written your own stuff. And that's how it's always been. If you're not claiming to be the best MC, if you're claiming that you want to get these rhymes out and do all this stuff and have a concept, no one has an issue or problem with it. It's only when you start claiming that you are the better MC that people then want to see. If you say you are the best, let's get these rhymes. Now, some rappers are good in certain genres. There are people who are not good in battle rap. And that's thinking off the cuff. There are a lot of rappers that are not good like that. There's a lot of rappers that need to have a subject matter. They will write down their subject matter. They will get the music tied with the song, or the music hits them and then they write from there. There are people like that. Then there are people you can give them a beat and then they're off the cuff and they can do whatever they want to. And they can go back and forth with you in a battle, because there's a whole subgenre of hip hop called battle rapping. And battle rapping, I think, was born out of the beef on wax, because remember, if you're talking about some of the famous beefs with Biggie and Tupac and all those, they had to sit down and write those raps. They wrote them, they put them on wax, they got published out here, and then it wasn't like the next day that they answered each other. It could be 6 months before they answered somebody else. So, and that's because they were crafting the song, the whole the whole song, right? So that's all of that. So as we come up, Drake has been real sensitive about that Kendrick's remark on the lyric on the Control song. Give me one. Hold on, I'm trying to get down to it. All right, here we go. Let me share this screen. All right, you see the lyrics. But this is hip hop, and the N word should know what time it is. And that goes for Jermaine Cole, Big Crit, Wale, Pusha T, Meek Mill, ASAP Rocky, Drake, Big Sean, J Electronica, Tyler, Mac Miller. I got love for y'all, but I'm trying to prune y'all from the timeline. Trying to make sure your core fans never heard of y'all. They don't want to hear not one more noun or verb from y'all. What is competition? I'm trying to raise the bar high. Who trying to jump and get in? Get it? You better off trying to skydive. Okay? So these are the lyrics that he put out that had that had Drake in a mood. Because he said that he was working on trying to be number one. And again, I told you, the way I believe Drake operates is Drake is number one and everybody else is not. And he is not. Drake is number one and he is not. Everybody else is under him. And he had a big problem about it. And he was online and he went through several different iterations of telling everybody how, oh, that was just a throwaway verse. Nobody understands what's going on. Yada, 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 yada. Right? Because he's still the big man. And he remains the big man. And then he decides to collaborate with J. Cole on First Person Shooter. He collaborates with J. Cole on First Person Shooter. He declares that Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar are the big three, with the optics seeing that Drake is on top, then it's J. Cole, then it's Kendrick Lamar. That's the optics that I took. Then that comes out. They're going back and forth, and they went. That lyric came out. Then Drake started. Hold on. I think that lyric for "Like That" came out, and then Drake came. I think J. Cole shot out there and then retracted what he said. Then Drake shot out there and had a couple of songs, and then Euphoria dropped for Kendrick. Then 616 in LA dropped. Then Drake dropped Family Matters, and then Kendrick dropped Meet the Gram, and then after he dropped Meet the Gram, Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, and then Drake did the Heart Part 6. Prior to Euphoria, there was Taylor Made's Freestyle, because that's the song that he used Snoop Dogg and the voices of Snoop Dogg and Tupac. But there was another one before that, and it escapes me. But that's okay, because now that has been, what was that, 2023? 2025? Let's see. Is that 2020? It was 2024. So that's been over a year ago. So where are we now? As we got through that, Not Like Us came out. Not Like Us became a huge hit. It had that West Coast beat, that West Coast feel. A lot of folks from the West Coast loved it. They believed that it was an anthem. The lyrics that Drake is suing for is the lyrics in that first verse calling him a PDF file. That's what he's talking about. I think the lyrics in the second verse, that's what he's suing for. I personally believe that the lyrics in the second verse is what hurt Drake, because now Drake was exposed. Kendrick, in my opinion, exposed what Drake was doing. This is why he was running to different people and he was emulating their style. Because when people actually had to stop and think about it, Drake is from Canada. He is from Toronto. So Toronto has a bevy of rappers. The only style we know about Toronto, unless you are someone that lives in Toronto and possibly the UK, who are them folk? What is Toronto style? Is it like a UK rap? Is that with the sort of drill beat? Is it something laid back, like West Coast? Relying on great R&B and jazz music. Is it something with the South? What, or is it more New York? What is it? What is Toronto style? We don't know, because Drake has dominated that whole city and that whole stuff. And we're finding out that Drake's style depends on which writer is writing for him. Because we have seen Drake as a quasi gangster rapper. We have seen Drake in like Afro beats and Caribbean influenced style. We have seen Drake in Atlanta style rap. We have seen Drake with the Game kind of copy in LA style. So we have seen Drake be a chameleon in this game. And people then started to question, well, what is this? Wait a minute. Hold up. Who is Drake? What is his style? What is Toronto? People started questioning that. And I think that sent Drake more in a tizzy than this being called the PDF file. Because let's be clear. In Taylor Made Freestyle, he was baiting Kendrick to use that angle. Because again, before Kendrick Lamar said anything about any of that, it was common knowledge that Drake was strange around young ladies under 18. You had it in the news, and this is coming from The young lady herself, Millie Bobby Brown, that when she was 14 and 15 years old, when she was big on Stranger Things, he was texting her. They had a text thread back and forth. Yes, I understand that they are entertainers. But at that point, you have to understand that Drake, at that particular point, he was in his late 20s, possibly early 30s, texting that girl. Inappropriate. There was rumors, rumors of him possibly dating Lotto's little sister. There were rumors that he was dating that 17 turning on 18 model. There were rumors coming out that he would hold parties and there would be folks there at those parties, allegedly, uh, where there would be underage girls at those parties. There's film, there's footage coming out of one party, and in that song, I want to say, which is the one where he was like the B. When Kendrick was doing that song, he was making mention of a white party where Drake was sitting outside, and he literally was squatting a bee. But in that party, you had a lot of social media influencers who had gone to that party, and they were online with their social media sites. And some of those who had their social media sites, they were under the age of 18. And so that was mentioned. So I think personally, Not Like Us wasn't really about, he's saying that that's what it's about. That's what he's suing for. It's me personally. I think it's that second verse. You run to Atlanta when you need a check balance. You're not a colleague, you're a colonizer. That verse hurt him more because, again, what's happened is now everybody's eyes, the scales have been removed from everyone's eyes, and they see Drake for, hey, he just comes over here. Not that he really, really, truly likes or enjoys us, but he is trying to get in our good graces, glean what he can from us, take our styles, and then he'll make records within those styles. Because now, if you're not familiar, recently Drake has been over in the UK and he's been bigging up the mandem over there, talking about that they're the best rappers, they're better than US rappers, and all of this little stuff. Don't know what happened, but he was on tour, and just like his Anita Max Win tour that he did the first part of this year, where he canceled the tour, and people said he canceled the tour because of poor tour sales. I'm not sure why he canceled his UK tour in the middle of the thing. I just think he's doing that to see how much relevancy he still has. And here's the thing, because I know a lot of the Drake stands will come out here and say some things, but Drake still has relevancy. Drake still can get out here and rap, and he can still out can do that. The only thing I ask of Drake is don't start beef with nobody else. Don't you start another rap beef. Battle rapping is not your forte, even though you have studied battle rapping. Battle rapping is not your forte, and you need to let that go. But you can come out here in your music and do all kinds of stuff. You can still rap, you can still sing, you can still do all of those different things. But coming out here doing another rap battle, no. Because again, Drake's fan base is his fan base, and they still love them some Drake. And I think that Drake should take that love. So that is my quick, well, it wasn't quick, but that's my overview and my opinions about what's going on and what I think motivated this lawsuit. But let's get into what is going on, because the docket is strong with him. So if you watched this video, I kind of went over some articles talking about Drake and all of the stuff that's going on with him. in regards to this lawsuit. So what I wanted to do on this particular stream, and again, I'm trying to make sure that it stays no more than an hour and a half. There have been some updates into the docket. Now, I told y'all I have not been following covering this really smoothly since June. But on June the 30th, there was an oral argument. Let me share this tab instead. There was an oral argument. Hold on. And I do believe that was an oral argument to dismiss. And it happened on June 30th at 2 p.m. I do have the transcripts. And we will go over that today. We'll go over those transcripts today. It's about 53 pages. We will go over that. But I do want to just kind of update on what's going on. They're going back and forth. They are going back and forth. And let me show you this first, because this is August 12th. So this is a letter from Drake's attorneys, and they are asking for discovery. And what are they asking for discovery? I need to find. I tell you what, we won't read this because I need to have the where it says, if you see right here where it talks about the request 20, 29, and 30, I need to get those requests. I need to see those things. So let me see if I can find those real quick. All right. All right, I got them, y'all. All right. I told y'all it's a lot of stuff. Hey, hey. It's a lot of stuff. So let's get into this lot of stuff. Please make sure as you come in, you're hitting that like button. I do appreciate it. All right. Give me one moment, y'all. I'm having just a slight issue with things pulling up. Let me just give you a. All right. So here we have the letter. It says, Dear Judge Vargas, pursuant to sections 3A and 6B of the court's individual rules and practices in civil cases and federal rules of civil procedure 26 and 37, Plaintiff Arbery Drake Graham respectfully requests an order compelling defendants UMG to produce discovery responsive to plaintiff's request for production 11, 12, 29, 30, 31, and 33, and to produce an unredacted version of its recording agreement with Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, responsive to request number 1, the Lamar contract. Let's go back. So in their quest, they want to get a copy of the contract. They want to get a copy of the contract. They want to get copies of all these little different things because they're saying these are the things that help them. So let's share this screen. These are the documents they were asking to be produced. Okay. Number 1, document request number 1, that all contracts and agreements between you and Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, his agents, or anyone working in his behalf, including all contracts and agreement reflecting your right to approve, reject, refuse to publish, edit, amend, alter, or veto the publication of Kendrick Lamar Duckworth's musical works, music videos, or other content. Now, why is this important? I am quite sure. No, I'm not. I don't know these folks, but this is just a belief I have. I don't have any measure of facts. Drake is trying to see the contract that they had with UMG to see if it was similar to the contract that he had with UMG. Now, you let me tell it because, I went over this big history about Drake. And one of the things that I did not go over that I'm going to go over with you all now in regards to those contracts is that Drake, because he was the man, he had the ability because of he was the man that had the eye of the man, and that's Lucius Grange. LG, Big G, whatever you want to call him. He was able to call him on the phone and request what he wanted to request. So I am, and the reason why I am mentioning that is because if you remember in the rap beef, Drake tried to have Like That taken down. If you remember in that rap beef, Kendrick Lamar made a little suggestion in his music that Drake and his team tried to have Like That taken down. He even to the point that there was a cease and desist sent to Metro Boomin and them to take Like That down. Subsequently, when Not Like Us came out, prior to him doing the Heart Part 6, it was rumored and possibly confirmed, not sure, but it was rumored that Drake had had several meetings with UMG telling him to take it down. And they refused to take the song down. Now, it's my understanding also is that when Pusha T put his song out, Drake had made request to have some of his works and some of his songs taken down. So Drake has enjoyed that type of status within the music community. So let's go to document request number 2. All documents and communications relating to your, and I guess he's talking to the UMG, or consent to publish the recording, image, and video. So they want to know what went on behind closed doors to make this request. Document number 3, all communications involving Ramon Alvarez Smilky relating to the recording, image, or video or the promotion of any musical works by Kendrick Lamar. Documents 4, all documents and communications related to the payment and reimbursement of discretionary marketing funds for the benefit of Kendrick Lamar or any persons working on his behalf, including but not limited to Anthony Saleh. And I believe that Anthony Saleh is Kendrick Lamar's manager. Document number 5, all documents and communications related to any allegations, concerns, complaints, or reports, whether formal or informal, oral or written, made relating to payola violations regarding any musical works by Kendrick Lamar and Duckworth. Now, here's what's interesting about this one. Because when this all started, Drake not only sued UMG, but he sued Spotify and he sued iHeartRadio. And those lawsuits were dismissed. Everybody was dismissed from the lawsuit except for UMG. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of those dismissals, but I do remember reports from Spotify and reports from iHeartRadio saying that they said that they did not involve themselves with any payola or anything like that. However, now this is where I think that Drake has a semblance of beef in regards to that, because UMG has been sued and had to settle a case and pay out some monies before some payolas back in a payola case back in like in between, I think it's like 2007 to 2010, somewhere in between there. So there is a history of UMG acting that way. So all I can say about that is he may have something in that regards, but I'll also say too, all of them have issues. And so in other words, when he's talking about discretionary funds, they can pay, I guess, as long as they're not saying, here's the money for you to pay, here's money so you play this record on the thing. But if they say something different and it is an assumption that I'm doing this or supporting your cause so that you would put that record on the radio, that might be something else. Again, those lawsuits were dismissed, and I believe that they were dismissed with prejudice. And all the plaintiffs were dismissed from those lawsuits except for UMG. All documents and communications, and with respects to copyright restrictions for the recording, but not limited to any alterations. He wants the document 7s. He wants their internal policy, procedures, and guidelines relating to the enforcement of copyright over publications, playing streams, musical works, all of that. All documents and communications relating to the February 2nd Grammy Awards, relating to recording, image, or video, but not limited to, because again, the song was played at the Grammys, and he wants to see who authorized that song to be played at the Grammys, even though that he had put forth this lawsuit. Who authorized all of that? He wants who authorized all the copyrights and the streaming and the sharing and all of this stuff. And let's continue with 8. He wants to know who authorized the licensing for the Super Bowl. He's wanting to know who authorized, he wants to know about the streams, the number of streams, the views, the purchases, the radio plays, all of that. He wants to know all that, including social media platforms. Now, this is interesting because you remember in one of the affidavits in this lawsuit, he mentioned several streamers in that particular lawsuit. I mean, in that particular filing, that he was saying that they were allowed to play the song, and they were given rights to be able to play that song without copyright strikes. He wants to know how much the Interscope chief executive offer, how much he was paid for the past 5 years. He wants to have them show him Interscope's, their executive incentive metrics, target projections, and all of that. And it goes on and it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. And I won't read all of these to you, but I just needed you to get a feel of all the stuff that he is looking at. Now, I am of the opinion this is the way I think that Drake is thinking about all of this. Because remember, Drake said that he was supposed to be in negotiations with UMG, and he believes that this song tarnished his efforts to maximize his negotiations with UMG because it defamed him, and that it messed up his record sales and all of this other stuff. So the way I believe that Drake believes is Drake is basically saying this: UMG, he wants to see all this stuff in pertaining to Kendrick. Now, he claims he's not suing Kendrick. He is suing the record label because he's saying that they should have known in meetings and things that he told them that because he said that he was not a PDF file, that they should have removed the song because it's defaming to him. He is putting forth, in my opinion, that he wants to see the contracts and he wants to see all the revenue that Kendrick Lamar made and UMG made in promoting, Interscope made in surrounding Kendrick. Drake believes that UMG and Interscope was at a loss when it came to Kendrick Lamar. And that in order to recoup that loss, they promoted Not Like Us to make sure that it got the maximum numbers of streams, that it got the maximum number of play, that there was payola and stuff like that involved. And all of that was to undermine. He wants to prove that they did all of that to recoup funds that they lost in having Kendrick Lamar as a rapper. Simply because Drake was the best rapper, Drake was the highest paid rapper. There's just no way in the world that this song, that Not Like Us song, should have had the play that it had, because Kendrick was not, I guess basically Kendrick is not that dude. He's not that rapper, and his fan base he doesn't have the fan base to be able to promote a song like he's promoting. And UMG should have known that. That's what I believe that he is suing for. But I also believe it was the second verse that scathed him the most. That's what I believe. But that's what he's suing for. So he wants to see all those contracts. And he also wants to bolster his argument because he is requesting information about the stuff that he put out on his Family Matters track. He wants them to present, he wants UMG to be able to present to him any and all information that they know about the domestic violence that was reported a couple of years ago in a hotel room by a hotel worker. They say that the police were called, but it's my understanding that there was no police report. He also wants UMG to present proof that Dave Free is the child, is the father of Kendrick's son. He wants them to. Now, UMG wouldn't have anything to do with that. That would require someone to get a paternity test. Which, in my opinion, is a little foul, Drake. Because he wants to see how Kendrick is a liar, but here I am, I'm telling the truth. All the things that I said in Family Matters was the truth. So this is all going to be interesting. There's a whole lot of stuff that's coming out, and like I said, I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of that, but I do want to just kind of give an overview. Now, I do want to read this. I do want to read the transcripts from the June 30th meeting. So what I will do right now, but I just wanted to let you know that there is a letter that he had requested those documents. I think that UMG presented some of those documents. However, Drake is saying, hold on, y'all. Drake is saying that all of those documents have not been given to him. He's requesting 29 and 30. And let me go real quick because I don't think we went to 29 and 30. Here we are, 29 and 30. He's requesting all documents and communications from January 1st, 2020 through the present relating to any instructions, directions, or suggestion that any musical work or music video over which you have contractual rights or control of any kind to be censored or otherwise modified, altered based on the content of musical work or music videos, or the decision not to license, publish, or promote any musical work or music video over which you have contractual rights. So he wants to know all the videos and things that they have control over. Document request number 30. For the time period of January 1st, 2018 to May 31st, 2018, all documents and communications relating to any instruction, direction, or suggestion that any musical work or music video by Pusha T, including but not limited to the story of Adidon, be censored or otherwise modified, altered based on the content of the musical works and things. So here's what I assume Drake is saying. You've done this in the past because you've done it for me. And I need you to produce the stuff that you did for me in the past where you have asked for stuff to be altered or censored or not come out because you thought it was going to be in detriment of me. And I need you to do that because remember I told you at the top of this that it was rumored that he was trying to get Pusha T's stuff taken down. And so he wants all that documentation because he knows that that's what has happened. Hey RBco, what throws me is the language used. He wants allegations of Kendrick, but when it comes to him, he wants actual criminal cases, different scope. Yeah. Because again, if I'm reading this correctly, because like I said at the top, and this was my opinion, but this is what I'm gleaning from this. He wants all those cases in which UMG decided, hey, we're going to ask you to cease and desist this and cease and desist that. He's saying you've done that before for me before. Why did you not do it for me on this basis? Why did you not take this song down when I asked you to take this song down? Because you've been taking these songs down for me. And he wants the documents from the revenue to show that I've asked you to take this stuff down. Several times I've asked you to take this stuff down. And you decide not to take this stuff down. And he's wanting the compensation and the monies from all of that. Let me see. All their profits and stuff like that. He wants to know his Kendrick's contract. I'm sorry, I'm on this page, y'all. Told y'all there was a lot of stuff, and we're just bouncing around here. Plaintiff requests seeks contract agreement with Mr. Duckworth, including those that reflects UMG's right to approve, reject, refuse to publish, edit, amend, alter, or veto the publications of his music work and music videos. Says here on June 24th, UMG produced an untitled document styled as a letter from Interscope, a division of UMG, to Mr. Duckworth, which appears to be a contract between the two. However, the vast majority of the 22-page agreement is redacted, render it virtually unreadable and incomprehensible. And see, this is the thing, And that's pretty much the end. This letter is wanting him to give that information. There is another order, from what I understand, that they want UMG to present the documents of Kendrick Lamar's contract, but they want it to where it's only the attorney's eyes only. So it doesn't get to Drake or anything like that. It's for the attorney's eyes only. So we will see if that will happen. But basically, that is what. And see, this is where I don't think that this case is going to be dismissed as UMG wants it to be dismissed, simply because on that particular outing, I think Drake has a case. You've done it for me before, so why didn't you do it for me now? Now, I don't know if my theory that Drake wants to see the books to show that Kendrick Lamar wasn't making no money before, and he ain't making no money now, and that UMG surreptitiously decided that they were going to push him above all else, and that was to recoup the money. But also, according to Drake and his team, they did that also at Drake's detriment, because he was in the middle of contract negotiations, and he can't negotiate a higher contract if a song has caused his particular catalog, to diminish. And again, I've said this all the time. In my opinion, Drake doesn't have any type of awareness of what's going on, because he's done this at the same time. When he went into that beef with Pusha T, he had an Adidas deal on the line. And I don't know if those sales were thwarted. Y'all, when he went into this beef with Kendrick Lamar, he had a shoe deal with Nike on the line that didn't do what it needed to do. Which, again, I do not understand. Why do you go into beef with folks when you know you've got a lot on the line? You have contract negotiations and contract deals and all of these things going on. And you want to hold everybody else responsible. However, let me just be clear, because I still believe that, again, it's my opinions, that a lot of this is because he got sunned. However, this is what happens, and this is that business thing that these recording corporations, this music business, you've done. You all have coddled Drake. You have given Drake everything that he wanted. When he wanted something to be removed, you all made every effort to make sure that it was removed. And when he asked you to remove this, you didn't remove it. And so, like any petulant child, if he can't get what he wants, nobody can get what they want. So UMG is going to have to really and truly answer for all of that, because they're wanting this information to come out. I am curious and more curious about this information coming out. But again, that's a UMG fault stuff, and Republic, because again, they pitted Drake as up there in the pantheon of rappers. And so he goes into these rap beefs and these rap battles believing that he had this whole, regardless of what they put out, he could get it quashed. What he never fathomed was that Kendrick was going to employ Drake's method to beat him at his own game. He didn't he didn't think about that. So again, all this information is about to come out, all of this in this letter that he is requesting, all of these different things. We will see. We will definitely see if the judge ask for all that information. I do understand that the motion to dismiss is still on the board, but what I will do is I am going to end this particular live stream, and then I'm going to come back and I am going to read the 53-page oral argument from June 30th. Now, I'll get you all that are watching and listening to the stream. If you just want me to continue and read it now, let me know. I'll give you about a minute or two to make that decision, but make sure somebody puts it down in the comments. If not, I am going to stop this stream and then go into reading this particular information and content from June the 30th. So what I'll do is give y'all about 30 seconds. I don't see anybody in opposition of me doing that. So what I will do is we will end this live stream. Make sure you please tell, hold on, see what somebody says. Thank you. I don't see any opposition to me stopping this stream and then coming back with a new stream so we can read what the oral arguments were on June 30th, because I think that is important before we go forward. And so I will do that. You all give me probably another 30 to 40 minutes. I will go ahead and get that live stream created, and I will come back and we will read the information from the June 30th oral argument. So again, Drake is filing his discovery motion. He has listed out a motion about 30 or 40 things that he wants that UMG to give him. And it looks like some of the things that UMG gave him was rejected to the point that he couldn't read it. And so they are also requesting that Kendrick Lamar's contract be for the attorney's eyes only. And they're also requesting any information that UMG may have in regards to whether or not Dave Free is the father of Kendrick Lamar's child, which in my opinion begs, at this point, they are talking about, and Drake has a big problem with this, of going in and besmirchifying, besmirching the character of the women that these rappers are involved with. Because, you know, with Meek Mill, he made some little snotty comments about Nicki Minaj and any other women that Meek Mill was dating. With Pusha T, he brought Pusha T's, she was his fiance at that time. He bought her fiance's name. I think his name was Virginia. He bought her name all up in it. And in this particular rack, he brought up Whitney's. And so my thing is, he is asking for things in order to, because if he feels like he can't get at the men, he is going to go after the women. He's just one of those types of dudes. And so it's getting to the point where he wants his information to be proven correctly. He wants to be able to say, see, I told the truth in my song, and he lied in this song. And the only way that you're going to be able to tell the truth about anything is to produce documents or anything, produce birth certificates or whatever documentations to show that that is Kendrick Lamar's child. But I'm thinking that he wants a DNA test to prove that. And that's where I think that he is going over, and that he will be crossing a certain line. But again, make sure you all please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye bye. I'll see you all in about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.